All right, everybody. Well, we've only got a few races left. Now, technically, we have 6 races left, but only 3 weekends, really, of racing left, and not in a row. They're kind of sporadic throughout now until September, but I decided let's just do something fun with the Javelin. Today's Sunday. I have 12 days to do what I want to do to this car. Now, there's nothing wrong with this car. It is known and proven that it'll run 8.5 in the 1/8 mile, even with the transmission not 100% working right all the time. In other words, transmission's not very consistent on shifting, but I figured out how to make it as consistent as possible. But like I said, I want to do something fun with this engine. I have to face it, I'm not going to get that AMX done before the end of race season. It's just too much. Sadly, I found out when I was working on doing some rear end stuff to it, the leaf springs are actually broken on both sides, so now I need leaf springs for it. And you know, there's just a lot of stuff to do, and I don't want to really be in a big hurry on the AMX. I want to make sure I do it right. I did get all the new emergency brake cables and stuff like that done. I've gotten a lot of stuff done to this car, believe it or not. Got all the right parts for the supercharger for the big block. So this motor here is prime for a supercharger. It's got low compression. It's probably worn out good enough that we don't have to worry about it, and we're only going to be running 5-6 psi of boost. So we're going to throw that supercharger on this 454 and see what happens the last few races. And besides that, you know, I've owned that supercharger for a year and a half, and I've never done anything, ran it or anything, so I'm itching to run it. So what that entails is putting this supercharger on there. I bought a single carburetor adapter so we can run that 750 because it works fine. Vacuum secondaries, whatever, it still works fine the way it is. Now, if you follow along with this videos on this Javelin, I made the motor mounts that I make for the small block and big block. They set the engine back about a 1/2 inch, and you know, you have to run the point style distributor. I've got to run the point style distributor in that supercharger. I'm actually going to put the motor mounts that bring the engine back, because when I switched out the rear end, the drive shaft became a little too short. I've already had to change out yokes. I've already cracked the tail shaft housing, it's sitting up there. So I'm going to scoot this engine back the 1/2 inch 3/4 that my motor mounts make them sit back, and that's going to give us more room for the pulley system because it's already going to be super close. We've got to run the short water pump, which I have all that stuff coming for it. So basically we're running the mild cam that's in it. I've already talked to everybody at the racetrack and we've done some stuff. Hang on until the phone's ringing. And we're just going to run that mild cam because, like I said, this motor's not really built for the supercharger, but really I don't think it's going to blow up because of the supercharger. Probably make it run a little faster. It'd be nice to just squeak into the 7s. That's really all we're looking for, and to have fun with it. So but anyways, this video is just going to be me tearing this stuff apart and trying to get that done. So I've already drained the coolant, or most of it, pulled off the thermostat housing. I gotta get all my linkage and stuff pulled out. Get the carburetor off. I'm gonna set this on top dead center, see where that's at, because I want to make this as easy as possible for myself. And that way when I get the new distributor, I can just drop it in and not mess with it too much. The alternator is gonna get a little bit strange. I could only find one short water pump alternator bracket kit, and it's going to kind of hang it out there to clear the head, but that's what I could find. So yeah, other than that, we may have to modify the radiator more. I may have to set him all the way back. I don't know yet to clear for the pulleys, but bringing it back 3/4 of an inch is definitely going to help. So anyways, I'm going to get this carburetor pulled. I'm going to get this set on top dead center with the distributor, get that distributor pulled out, and work on getting this intake pulled out. Alright, well, I got all that ripped apart. She's looking pretty clean down in the engine still. And the good thing is I don't see any crappy lobes on the camshaft yet. So I think we broke in the cam well enough. But cam does sure seem to be kind of misaligned, but who cares? Good enough for me. But while we got this out, let's talk about this intake. And I know you guys want to hear all about it. Actually, I don't know if you guys want to hear about it. And unfortunately, you're going to learn about it. If you don't want to learn about it, then you're just going to have to skip forward it to whatever time in this video where I'm not talking about it. But anyways, so it's an Assault brand. And I think I showed the brand of it before. I really don't have any complaints with it, other than some of the cheap things, but I'll talk about those in a second. It was $99 brand new. They are $200 or just a little under $200 now, but so we got this for $99 shipped off of eBay, and you know, didn't think much of it. It's what we at that point could afford at that time. So the things that I'm kind of, you know, was a little bit iffy about are how big these holes are for the bolts, but I don't think I had any issues with those. I just put washers on them and used bolts. And then those bolt holes being so big, you know, you had to put a washer on them, and they kind of didn't fit very good. But the biggest complaint I have about it is don't use those cheap gaskets they send with it. Holy buckets, are they cheap. I mean, this is the gasket. I don't know if it's made out of rubber. I don't know, but it's soggy, gross, and it's like disintegrating. So don't use the gaskets they send with it. Other than that, like some trash in there. It seems to be, or it ran fine. I thought I had an oil leak back here, but that was just because I didn't have my distributor tightened right. So yeah, I mean, don't use the cheap gaskets they send with it, and it should be fine. The porting, you know, $100 intake, what do you expect? Really, a guy could get in there and grind it out. It's actually got kind of a lip in there, but that was probably slowing us down. But like I said, you just got to build sometimes with the stuff you can afford or you can get your hands on. But anyways, I mean, if you're on a tight budget, I would recommend it. I mean, it seemed to work fine for me. I had no real issues or anything with it. So the valve guide seals in this engine they're bad. They're real bad, but we're still gonna just run them as is. Like I said, I'm not gonna put camshaft, I'm not going to do anything. Just throw this, well, it's got an aftermarket cam in it, but I'm not going to go around changing springs and pulling all that. I may, if I have enough time, I might throw valve seals on it, but that's just if I have enough time. If not, we're just gonna run her as is. So I have another thing thrown on the floor over here that my neighbor gave me. I don't really know that it's going to make a difference on the supercharger manifold, but we'll take all the cooling we can get. So this is a tray. I'm not going to set it in there because it's pretty dirty, but it goes right in the middle there for big block Chevy, and it keeps the hot oil from getting on the intake, keeping the intake a little bit cooler. I don't know if it's going to do us any good on that, but I might clean that up and throw it in here. We got to take all the cooling we can get. The old 454 would run about 220, and that's what it always ran. It just kind of always hung out at 220. Now I don't know if that's because it's a crappy mechanical temperature gauge or what. It never seemed to be getting super hot. If I came out here and infrared the heads, they seem to be at 198. So, but I had that temperature gauge in the intake, so you know. I don't know. I'm probably going to move them down the head there because I don't even know if I've got a spot on that supercharger intake for a temperature port. But anyways, that's what I can tell us about this right now. So I'm going to get things cleaned up a little bit, eyeball my camshaft a little bit, and probably start working on getting that thing pulled. And I'll bring you back here when I got something more to do. Alright, getting here to the blower. They're so nice, so kind. Put these big stickers on everything. So you gotta take this off, and then you gotta clean this stuff really good because it's adhesive. And then they give you the friendly thing about not over torquing this, and 10 foot-pounds. So I get to do this. Now I ordered a gasket, intake gasket kit for the manifold, which I've already put on because it was just a lot of fun. So much fun that I didn't want to record it because I didn't want you to have that much fun. But so when I started looking at it, I was like, there's no way these intake gaskets are going to fit. Well, you have to cut them to fit. So they're square port gaskets. You got to put them on your intake. Luckily I had a ball peen hammer over there, and you got to trace out all the openings and trim them and fit them and then pull them out and trim them again, and it's all kinds of fun. Boy, that's nifty. I didn't even notice that. There's actually paper shoved in here. What is this? Oh, I see. They put a 4-inch pulley on this, spun her at 7,000 RPM, and they made 11 pounds of boost. I imagine that depends on where they were, sea level or what. Hey, they didn't even sign it. Nobody signed a final inspection, or nobody wanted to put their name on this junk. But anyways, I'm going to continue doing this for a little bit. I'm not going to bolt the supercharger down yet. I just want to kind of get it on there and decide what I'm going to do as far as motor mounts. I'm going to move it, or, you know, all that stuff that you lay in bed thinking about. But let me get all this off. I'm sure it's really fun watching this, and I'll bring you back here in a few. Alright people, I don't remember where I left this off at. This has been a week later. It's the past future. Anyways, got a bunch of parts in. I mean, there's parts, bags, and my old shoe, and water pump, all kinds of crap on the floor. Anyways, like I said, I don't remember where we left off, but intake on, blower sitting down on the gasket. I already managed to break one of these breakaway aluminum studs, so we're just gonna have to put in a regular bolt in there, and hopefully this supercharger with 3 or 4 pounds of boost doesn't blow up. I went ahead and just got a Summit ready to run small cap distributor, and the reason why is because it's got the Mel hoopties on it there to use my $100 spark plug wires I already have. So I'm not going to be using a vacuum advance. Supercharger says 10 to 6 on your initial timing, and then no more than 34 on your total timing, which I'll probably run this about 30 if this engine will even run at 6 to 10, because that cam really likes 20. So I don't know, but my point is I'm going to take that vacuum's not going to do anything. It'll just stay plugged, and I'll probably have to put a button or a lock or a stop in that distributor. So this HEI, I was having a problem with that happening way too much advance. And if you can just kind of see, there's like a little nub right there. That's not a hole. So I put a actual lockout in this, because you have a mechanical advance, and without the vacuum on there, that thing was still advancing like 48 total, which is way too much for this. So I had to put that button in there and it would stop right at 38. So I'm gonna have to do something very similar onto this. Of course, the belt they sent me is a little too short, so I had to get a little Western here and make my slot a lot longer than it should be. It actually ended somewhere here. I had to cut that much more out just so I can use that. Water pump is on, short water pump. That's a Corvette is what I use to get that pump. Alternator bracket is designed to go on the driver's side, but imagine this, it's in the way of the power steering, or sorry, the steering box, completely in the way. So all I did was just flip it around. I got to build a bracket for it, and I can just use it on the passenger side. So no biggie, get that figured out. Got the most adorable scoop you've ever seen for the top there. I'm not using 2 carburetors because, well, A, 2 carburetors are a real pain to tune, and B, that's a lot more money, and C, I've got that 750 dialed almost perfect, and where are we at? C, D, it's a lot more simple this way, and then E, hopefully I'm going to go race it next weekend, so I got to get this done. And doing 2 carburetors is a lot of tuning and a lot of driving around, so things I don't really have time to do with my job and everything. Alright, well anyways, I think I'll quit rambling here. I've got to finish mounting up the bottom pulley. In order to do that, I got to raise my radiator up, which I had to cut and weld and build a cradle and bring this radiator all the way forward just to have enough room to clear this stuff. So my goal right now is to get the pulley completely secured on the bottom. I pretty much got the upper one secured. Get the water pump finished and secured. Get the pulley on it. Get my tensioner put on and all that stuff. Get the supercharger torqued down to where it wants to be, and get the lower radiator hose, which I've got it on there, but get it fitted right, And then when I get all that done, I'll start figuring out if I've got enough hose for the top radiator, or if I'm gonna have to get a longer hose or what. I gotta get a different, longer alternator belt for sure, but that's my goal tonight. Get all that part of it done. And I must just be the oil I put in there to get those started. Get all that done. And then tomorrow I have most the whole day. I should be able to get this to where I can get it to run. Oh, and I gotta put my fuel pump back on and make sure my great idea of my alternator is not gonna be right in my fuel pump, because you know, once the fuel pump leaks everywhere into the alternator, it'll surely catch on fire. Well, it's pretty late. I generally don't even stay up this late, but it's good for you once in a great while to stay up and work on a rig. So I got the distributor set and timed to where I want it timed. I got all the tensioner on and everything. I'll have to look. I don't know what the exact tension is. Oops. I think it's supposed to be about 3/8 or a 1/2 inch. So I may have to fiddle with that a little bit more. I got to get a longer alternator belt tomorrow. I got to put on the valve cover bolts, the fuel line, which is going to be a pain in the butt. I hate fuel lines. I got to attach the vacuum line to the Turbo 400, which I haven't figured out where I'm going to attach that yet, because we don't want it on the boost side. And my brain is just now telling me that there is no port on that carbonator top there for the supercharger. So it's kind of weird. The dual one's got the ports on it. So I'll have to look into that a little bit. But to get it to run, I don't need to, excuse me, I don't need to have the vacuum hooked up to the transmission to get it to run. So that's where we're going to put our boost port for our boost gauge. I got to do that tomorrow. I got a new tachometer. That one quit working. So yeah, fun. But I think I already told you I broke one of those aluminum bolts already, so I had to throw in a regular bolt. Torque the manifold. Well, the actual intake manifold, you do it in 2 steps, 15 foot-pounds and then 30 foot-pounds. Oh, excuse me, I'm sorry, I'm yawning, I'm tired. And then 10 foot-pounds on the actual blower, which I have all those warning stickers about. So that is what I torqued it at. Those are about 10 foot-pounds as well up there. I forgot to show up at that gasket that goes between the blower and this gasket right here. It's actually got a cool screen in it, so nothing falls down on the supercharger. The gasket they sent with this supercharger doesn't have that screen, so it's kind of a bonus, I guess. Oh yeah, I got my alternator bracket all kind of set up. It's actually going to come in a little more, but have tons of clearance. Clears the fuel pump that's down there. The only thing I'm going to have to do with it is I am going to have to space it out to that front pulley, because the belt will hit the top radiator hose if I don't. So, or sorry, the lower radiator hose, it'll actually run into that if I try to run it on that first groove. But it'll just squeak by on the second groove, so I'm gonna just put some spacers in between this whole mechanism and bring it out. So yeah, there's my list on the windshield. But I think tomorrow I should be able to get this thing fired up. So that's the plan. So I guess I'll bring you back tomorrow when I wake up tomorrow sometime and I get back to work on it. Alright everybody. Well, we got her all done. It's late in the evening. You know, it's going to be 8 o'clock, which probably isn't late to most of you, but it's late to me. But I did go drive her around a little bit. I thought I was recording earlier when I first started it up, but apparently I wasn't recording. But she runs good. No issues. Well, I take that back. I do have a issue. I'm going to have to put bigger jets in it. It's got a little bit of a stumble again on acceleration. So, and I've got a leak on that bolt right there on my carburetor, getting my thing all dirty. But yeah, she runs good. She's got boost. I think I was talking about what I was going to hook my transmission vacuum up to. I'll just hook it up to the back of the carburetor. Kind of Mickey Mouse looking, but gets the job done. It's been, like I said, a heck of a project, so bear with me while I'm trying to remember what I should be showing you. Oh, yeah, on my maiden voyage it quit running and I had to call a buddy to go get jumper cables. Or it didn't quit running, but it wouldn't start at the gas station, and my ground wire, which you can see right there, had actually fallen off. So that's all that was wrong with it. But we messed with this thing for about an hour on the side of the road up there by the gas station. So we kind of pushed it out of the gas station parking lot. And turns out it was just that ground strap came off. It would try to crank, but it wouldn't, start. I thought it was just a dead battery, but that's all that was. She's actually running cooler, believe it or not. You put a supercharger on, apparently your overheating problem goes away. That, and I cut some hideous slots in the radiator shroud. But I'm sure all you guys are wanting to hear her start. Let's see if she'll start without giving her any gas. Good. Maybe tomorrow, depending on what the weather's going to do, might try to go do a actual walk around and all that fun stuff at our old walking around stomping grounds from back in the early days of the channel. Back when I used to live in Manhattan, Montana. I used to go out to the storage unit and do our walk around out there, so might try to do that. Now you might see so I thought it might have been blow by but I really need to put a PVC system on this engine, but because it only really smokes if it's sitting here idling. Obviously when you're driving you're not going to notice it, but after it heats up and you drive it around a while, it actually quits doing that. So I don't think it's blow by. That engine's got some pretty good compression still. Anyways, I got the niece over and she's turning my garage into an art project, so I gotta continue to hang out with her for a little while longer, and I'll probably just end the video here, and I'll try to make another video on the walk around out there if it's nice tomorrow. So till then, thanks for watching.